Hey guys, Variety here. Welcome to today's video in which we're going to be doing a guide for foraging in Palia. So foraging is one of the 8 skills that are currently available in Palia, and your NPC contact point would be Ashura. So foraging falls into 2 loose categories in my opinion, one of which is using an axe to chop down trees, and the second of which will be running around the map and foraging items off the ground, such as picking up shells, coral, herbs, stuff like that that you used in various aspects of the game. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the NPC, kind of the items that you're interested in and which ones you don't really need. We're going to have a look at the different types of trees and what you need to be able to get them. We're going to have a look at the item you use to help you discover rare materials on the map. And then we're going to finish up with a bit of a look of an area where you can use foraging to rapidly gain gold, which is really good for the start of the game and can really help you get started if you're interested in that. So this is Ashura. Ashura is going to be your NPC contact point for buying recipes and everything foraging related. So let's open up his store and have a look at what he's got. So first up, you're going to have the basic sawmill. I think everybody knows that sawmill turns logs into planks. I've put these in the inventory here to kind of help you understand what to expect. But throughout the game, you're going to cut very basic small trees. As you get better axes, you can cut bigger trees, right? But the types of wood that you're going to be getting throughout the game are going to be sapwood, which turns into sapwood plank. In the second zone, you're going to be getting heartwood, which turns into heartwood plank. And the third one's going to be flow-infused wood, which will turn into flow-infused plank. I will talk a little bit more about flow-infused later in the video. So first up, you have your standard axe. They can only knock down small trees, and they can't actually interact with the flow trees. You have the recipe for the planks, as I showed you over here. You have the heavy sawmill. The heavy sawmill, if you have the items, I would say get it. What it does is it crafts items faster. It crafts the same items, but it crafts them faster. So early in the game, you're probably going to have limited slots. So having an extra one of these is actually pretty nice. So here we have the fine axe. The fine axe is going to do more damage and allows you to chop medium and large trees. Not only that, but it also allows you to cut the flow-infused trees down. Here we have the dowsing rod. Apologies. So the dowsing rod is going to show you where the rare trees are. I will show you that later in the video. Exquisite axe. So in my opinion, you don't necessarily need the exquisite axe. I can't confirm this, but just like the mining tool, it feels like the higher level tool you have, the more often you get secondary items. So for example, when you're mining and you have an exquisite pick, you're going to get silver ore and gold ore more often. At least that's the experience I've had. And with the exquisite axe, it appears that you get tree seeds far more often. So at the beginning of the game in testing, many people got a quest that required you to put down tree seeds, and everybody was asking where to get them. But being ahead of majority of people, I had already found that just by getting a bigger axe or a high tier axe and chopping down trees, you actually get a lot of seeds just by having a higher axe and chopping down some trees. Down here, we have the items that unlock at level 10. We have the flow-infused plank, not worth getting. Heart drop lily, collecting yourself. Bright shrooms, collecting yourself. All of this is just harvesting stuff that you can collect by yourself. The only thing that I would even consider buying would be maybe the Dari cloves. And everything else here that you can just go and collect yourself. So the first tree is actually sapwood tree. So this is what they look like when you're in the first zone. It's basically any generic tree that you see around. When you have a low tier axe, you're only going to be able to cut the smaller trees, like this one here, for example. But when you get a higher tier axe, you can do this. You can cut the much bigger trees, which will give you more materials and more trees to cut. So it's a lot quicker. A little note here while I remember. When you're cutting down trees, I believe it's 5%. But when you're cutting down trees, there's a chance that a bug is going to come out of the trees. I don't know how big the tree has to be for the bug to potentially come out, I just know that when you cut down trees, there's a chance of a bug coming out. So it's a good idea to hotkey your bug catching stuff so you can capture the bugs that come out, because they give you silk, which is actually really valuable. So when you're running around and cutting stuff down, maybe not level 1, level 2 when you're right at the game start, but when you get a little bit further, and make sure that you have the bug stuff on you. Okay, so you're going to be running around and cutting some trees. At the same time, you're going to be running around and foraging plants. Now, you're going to come down here and you're going to find these glowy plants that are in the river. And you're going to be tempted to grab everything because it's like, well, I want all these plants. It may not be a good idea because early in the game, you're only going to have, I think, 2 or maybe 3 lines of backpack, whereas I currently have 4. And it's going to fill up your inventory extremely fast. So any flowers that are inside the water itself, honestly, I'd kind of leave alone, because you can come back and get them later, and they fill up your inventory way too much. There are other plants that you'll see around, like on the grass, and they stack up nice in your inventory. Definitely pick up those because they're nice and useful, but just the ones inside the water, like the glowy, I think they're like blue or purpley flowers, just leave them alone initially. Okay, so let's go to the second zone and have a look at the next tier of wood. So here we are located in the second zone. You're going to find these trees everywhere. They're not rare. They basically just kind of look like this, and they come in different sizes. All you're going to do is come up and woodcut it. And this is going to give you the tier 2 plank. Tier 2 log, apologies. A good way of finding like trees if you're looking for specific ones is to get up on a mountain and look down. Okay, so the next tree we're going to look at would be the Flow Infused, which is the T3 tree. So earlier when we were looking at the NPC we saw a dowsing rod, which you can buy with tokens after level 10. Or you can buy the recipe to make it. The dowsing rod, what it's going to do is it's going to show me the location of rare foraging goods. So right now I'm looking for a flow tree, which is considered a rare foraging good. So I'm going to use the dowsing rod. So it's going to show you 2 things. As you can see here up on this cliffside, hopefully I can get up here, is going to be a rare herb. So the rare herb is going to be 100 meters away. While you're looking around, you're going to see, hopefully, a tree pop up. So let's pick up this herb real quick. This is definitely the foraging part of it. There we go. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like any trees are popping up, but this buff is going to last for 15 minutes, and just keep running around and picking up objects. Unfortunately, many of the objects are usually up in the air, like on mountains, or just on the other side of walls, which is really annoying. But just keep running around, foraging the rare goods, and looking for your rare tree, which is your flow tree. So here is a flow tree. Luckily for me, this is actually a small tree. When you find a small flow tree, you can actually cut it down solo. If you find a bigger tree, for example, this size or this size over here, you need to use a bit of a trick when it comes to pulling out your axe and animation canceling. I don't fully understand it myself. It's something to do with clicking the button again when it's on its final animation. I find it a little bit buggy. I'm sure you can get more information about it, but I find it a little kind of buggy, glitchy, so I don't really do it myself. So when it comes to bigger magic trees, you generally, aside from the bug, need to cut it down with other members of the community. So generally all you need to do is, whenever you find a magic tree, just hit the enter key and type in a chat, hey, I found a magic tree and where you're at. And almost all of the time, somebody will respond pretty quickly to come and help you cut down the tree, because everybody needs them, because they're considered a rare resource. As you can see, it regenerates. That's why you can't knock it down yourself normally. Okay, so we've talked quite a bit about the cutting trees aspect of foraging. I'm going to go up to the beach and show you a little bit about foraging items off the ground. So we're going to be focused on the coral shores here, where you run around and picking up items, which is actually a couple thousand gold per night, which is extremely good for early in the game. In fact, it's so good that it might make a lot of the recipe costs a little bit redundant. So you really want to think about, do I want to farm this and skip other aspects of the game, or do I want to play the game properly before you farm this area? More around this area, you can farm all this area here, and you'll have plants that'll be on the side of cliffs and rare herbs that'll be used in endgame cooking. You may not know the use for them now, but you will find the use for them later, and you wish that you picked them up. So if you have backpack space when you're running around, make sure you pick up everything you find in this area. But for this video, we're going to be talking about the coral area. So when you're running around the coral area, you're going to be picking up shells and other items such as the coral here. A couple of these items are used in quests. You can open up some of the items and obtain other quest items or items you can sell to the store. This definitely is a nice gold income. So what a lot of people do is they come here and they're like, well, there's somebody else here and they're farming all these items, so it doesn't respawn fast enough for me to make money. And that's fair. However, there's a little bit of a trick to it. So Palia isn't exactly competitive when it comes to the collection of resources. It's actually quite generous. So for example, you see this here, this is a shell, okay? Let's say there's somebody else ahead of me and they run up and pick up this shell and then they run away. For the next 10 or 15 seconds, that shell will still be there for other people to pick up. So when you find another person here and you're trying to gather resources, you're not looking to split to the other side of the map to steal them all. In fact, you want to do the opposite. You want to follow them exactly everywhere they go. So if they're running around and getting the whole map's worth of resources because they're the only person there, you're getting the whole map's worth of resources as well because you're directly behind them getting full resources. There's no less resources or anything like that just because you're following behind somebody. So if you see one other person here, follow him around and pick up everything and you will guarantee get every resource here, and so will he. Okay, so I think that covers everything for the foraging guide for Palia. So now you have a gold making method that you can use early, but I did mention be careful because it is quite heavy on the gold and you may make other parts of the game kind of a bit easy if you do it. You know now to farm items up around this area. Some will be on the side of cliffs, some will be on mountains, but they're all valuable. You know about the T1, T2, and T3 trees. Remember to call out in chat when you find a flow tree. Don't be shy. Just tell them where the tree is and tell them to come help you, and they will come and help you because they desperately want the trees as well. One last note that I should note before is, as a bit of a reward for watching the video throughout to this point, Ashara, the NPC for the foraging, when you complete, I think it's his level 2 or level 3 reputation quest, he'll actually give you 45 flow planks. Yeah, 45 flow planks, which is the highest tier plank you can get in the game. So you can actually cut down the amount of time you have to look for flow trees if you go and do that. So make sure you go and do that. Anyway, that's it for today. Thanks for watching, guys.